Anyways, New Game Plus, Earth, Claude, Speedrun. Something something speedrun. Can hear my doggy chewing on its toy. Oh, no menu yet, I guess. Now can I menu? Perfect. Whoops. Demon Child. Square Enix set her up to input readme so that they can delay my motherfucking speedrun. Bastards. Look at that shit. Satanic. Why? Why am I doing this to myself? No. I'm fucking zoning out. This is so bad. Oh my god. This should be my fastest run, but it isn't because sometimes I fall asleep at the wheel. I'm just like, I'm here, kind of, ish. Wakey, wakey, hands off Sneaky. once I get to the part where there's actually a game to be played, it gets easier. All those cutscenes for a door and to talk to a person. Too many cutscenes. Doesn't even need to be a cutscene, but they do it anyway. Like, they could just have the NPC there and I could choose whether or not I talk to them. Which I wouldn't. Time to kill whatever this thing is. They can't have those two horny teenagers sleeping under the same roof. Otherwise, baby would explode from out the vajazzle. The deadliest STD of them all. Baby. I thought this was Claude's story. Why do we have so many Reyna flashbacks? That's weird. This is a new game plus round, so why the hell are they showing me tutorials? They should already have been, you know, all set there with that. Barney the Bunny. They definitely didn't copy and paste that tunnel at all, with its exact same bulletin boards and item placement. Bye. swear to God. You know what it is time for, though. Oh, we're not gonna bodyguard that? Okay. Oh, I got back attacked by the enemy that I literally just attacked from behind. Cool. Seems fair. Alright. Damn it. Really? Meow. This is a little waste of time, but in my opinion, it's worth it. Anyways. I can run and I can hide. And my nose is itchy. Whatever. Should have just waited a bit. He's a spooky boy. It's fucking bunny time. They got fed and walked and all that stuff before I jumped on stream, so usually that calms them down for a little while. Also, I made popcorn and gave them a little bit of it, so I'm sure they enjoyed that. Bitch. Who are you? Why are you talking to me? Just hands me a bunch of books. Apparently I'm intimidating in public, so people usually don't approach me, which is good. I've been speedrunning my own life, actually, as well. Look at this fucking place. Run, bitches, run! That fucking bloody roar video I made. I thought that was so funny. Oh my god, what the fuck? Sure. Game is gonna make me do it anyway. Let me out. Let me out. Just 8 different cutscenes to pick up some armor. Another 12 cutscenes to take a nap. Whatever the fuck that was. 2 bitches in one hotel with me. And they're both pregnant now. My fucking aura impregnates bitches, just fucking Shazam. I'm so gay, please. What is this, a fucking talking competition? Jesus. Oh my god. It's such irrelevant information. Like, I, currently in a homosexual relationship, would like you to know that actually I'm bisexual. It's irrelevant information. You're with somebody, presumably you're not cheating on them. The bi is on hold, so... Or is that just too old-fashioned? I guess if he's in like a polyamorous sitch with a couple of different bitches, it would be a little different. Invisible. Please. It's just not relevant information. Like, presumably if you're telling people that you're in a relationship, it's one thing, like, nice, because you're kind of, like, asking your friends to celebrate that, because that's just kind of how our society is. But the other thing is, it's a celebration, but also a warning. Like, don't hit on me anymore. Oh shit, I wasn't supposed to kill that thing. Oh well, too late now. Run! Run! That'd just be so funny, like, you go to this arena and you just see this person, like, just immediately run away from the enemy. Like, why did you sign up for this? Be like, it's a speed run. You just didn't know it. My age of polyamory. It's still illegal everywhere, because it would pretty much allow the government to not get their full take of the taxes, reducing your taxable income by having 73 wives. Guarantee you Elon would do that shit immediately. And they know it. They know he's a whore. An ugly whore. He just has a lot of money, so he still gets to have sex. With his fucking chia pet head hiding his bald spots that have been around since he was 20. Crashing his McLaren F1 into a fucking tree like a complete dildo. Guy's such an ass stain. Yeah, they do. That's what passport bros be doing. They're like, women here don't want to cook and clean for me, so I guess I'm going to fucking Bangkok. Get me a ladyboy with all the features. Got that pussy and that dick. What else could you want? The game is trolling me now. I don't think so either, based on what I see online. Like, they just want like a slave, and I don't know that they're gonna be able to find that in the United States anymore, which is kind of hilarious. So all these dudes are like, screw it, I guess I'll just fucking move to Asia. Yeah, who knows? I don't know shit about fuck. I guess it makes sense, you know, if you're looking for something traditional, to go to a place that still has people that are like that. Or maybe it's just incorrect information and they'll learn the hard way that that wasn't very smart to do. Couldn't tell ya. I haven't taken out a passport in search of love before, so... Mail order brides and all that. Oh boy. What is going on here? Oh, it won't. I just suck at this today, apparently. Did I forget the goddamn thing? I guess I did. Oh well. I thought I got it, but I guess not. Christ. Go, bitches, attack. Pretty much. Couldn't tell ya. I don't usually watch content like that. Yeah, every once in a while. It is just kind of funny though. I feel like in the straight dating world, like, for years, there's just been like this, are the straights okay kind of situation happening. And I just find it amusing, so occasionally I'll watch things, I'm like, all you people seem quite delusional. So, good luck with that. But yeah, they're always like, I want some pious, like, just turned 18 virgin whose daddy's about to, like, fucking drop her on me. I'm just like, what? What's happening here? I'm gonna get her pregnant with my McDonald's job, and she's gonna be my slave. She's gonna cook me 3 squares and mind the children and be an absolute fucking tiger that just constantly wants my dick. Good luck with that. Son of a beach. I mean, these people don't have terribly realistic expectations. But, I mean, the same thing is true on the other side. Like, the straight women that I've been seeing on these, like, the straights aren't okay things, they are most certainly looking for men that don't exist. Like, he has to be, like, 6'5", built like a shit brick house, and have a fucking annual income of, like, fucking Cuba, basically. It's kind of ridiculous. Whatever makes these people happy, I guess. Yeah, pretty much. Hilton. Yeah. Good luck with all that. It's kind of hilarious because they've become so like jaded and disillusioned with reality that they don't realize that they're all dating the same rich people. It's just kind of funny. I hope you're enjoying yourself. I don't really know what else to say about it. I feel like I was just in this dungeon today earlier. God damn. God damn. Son of a bitch. Yeah. Like some 5'2" girl, like, oh, he has to be 8 foot tall. I'm like, you probably in your head are exaggerating this number because you're so short. Basically, everyone is 8 feet tall when you're near them. But man, like, there's just so much toxic positivity in, like, the straight women dating space. Like, they can say whatever they want about a guy that's, like, politically incorrect and shitty, but the instant anyone says anything about them, it's like, we're gonna fucking fight now. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, do you not see that that's, having it both ways, and how that doesn't work in any relationship? Good luck with that, kids. But there's a lot of people that are kind of putting off getting married until there's nobody good left. So that's gonna change your prospects of what is available as well. Yeah, I mean, the straights are just fucked up, man. Like, I mean, the gays have their problems too, but that shit is just wild. Like, I feel like dudes understand dudes fundamentally well, and they do relatively well together in relationships. There's a lot less fuckery. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like dudes just are more real with each other in general. I have no idea. It's hard to describe. I feel like women usually like want this like fantasy kind of situation, and I don't understand it at all. I'm like, I'm not looking to have a relationship with something that I idolize or that isn't real. Like, it's just not gonna work. It takes two to date. But man, I've seen like some videos where these people are like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna do anything and he's gonna do everything for me, and I'm like, good luck with that. Hope you have fun on Fantasy Island with all these supposed suitors that are just lining up, waiting to do everything in the relationship for you and nothing for themselves. Don't think it's gonna work out for you. Yeah. It's kind of like anti-feminism at this point, which is just kind of funny. Like, they want to go back to the kitchen and scrubbo the tubbo and not have to work. But then they also want the dude to, like, somehow get pregnant and have the kid if he wants it. Like, it's just like a completely, like, one-sided shit show. And I'm just like, who wants to be in that? Nobody I know. It was kind of wild, though. Like, I was listening to a podcast earlier, and this dude was like, I thought all I had to do to, like, make this relationship work out for myself was to be loyal and work and make the money and help around the house a little bit. And all these people on Reddit, like, gaslight him, basically, and they're like, you need to do, like, at least half the stuff at home, even though she stays at home to take care of the kids, and I was like, I disagree. Like, she shouldn't be a domestic slave by any matter. But if someone's taking care of your fucking existence, like, you should at least be able to pull your own weight at home, for the most part. I'm not saying you have to do everything, but Jesus Christ. If somebody's buying you a life of leisure, you should probably be, paying for it in some way. I mean, if I was with somebody that was just balls to the wall rich and didn't work and they're just living on fucking capital gains, then why not, I guess. But at that point, you probably are hiring a maid, and I'm sure very little of that's going to become a real issue for you. But I think people incorrectly assume that there's, like, just a shitload of, like, rich people available to date. And I'm like, these people were brought up with conservative values most of the time. They have their mom teaching them that they should have a prenup to protect the family money, like, by the time they're 10. So, I don't know about that girl. Like, at no point should one person be responsible for all the tribulations in the relationship. Nope, nope, nope. It's not one person's job to do everything. And if that's what you're looking for, you better be the prettiest fucking person on earth. Otherwise, you're not gonna get away with it. It takes a certain amount of shine to blind somebody that hard. That's all I'm gonna say. But it is kind of a thing now, like, on these dating apps, that people that are just, like, kind of cute, like, just think they're a fucking straight 10. And I'm like, oh boy. Reality hasn't kicked your ass into the pavement yet, I see. What must it be like to be so delusional? One can only guess. Yeah, I've seen videos like that too, and I'm like, what the fuck are these people like? I don't understand. It's just bananas. I just don't understand it. I think I went like down a whole rabbit hole because I clicked on something, you know, that was one of the like off-brand things that was disguised as something reasonable. And then like by the time you get to the end of it, you're just like, holy shit, this is some effective brainwashing. Like, Jesus Christ. But it's out there on both sides. Like, I think a couple days ago I was like complaining that like everybody now has their fucking influencer, and that person is just gonna talk like a big ass game because their ego's overblown because a million people listen to their bullshit, and they just don't think their shit stinks anymore. They've gone like fucking postal in their mind. Or maybe it's just an act, like maybe it's, you know, their parasocial relationship kicking in and delivering some nonsense. Couldn't really say. But a lot of people out there are disillusioned as fuck. And I can't really say what the cause of it is, outside of being locked up for 2 years, heavily impacting people's mental health. and gravitating, I think, towards those parasocial relationships because loneliness. And it's just like you put too much emphasis on like this person creating an entertainment product so that they can make money for advertisers. It's like, it's bizarro. Oh god. That's intense. But yeah, I mean, people are kind of getting educated wrong. And I mean, especially with kids, like 2 years to dick around on the internet when you should be doing schoolwork or, you know, like in a school getting that like kind of social conditioning. But when all of a sudden that goes away and you were getting C's before anyway, so it's like might as well continue to get C's in this much less accountable environment so that I can dick around all day. And it's kind of sad because a lot of people that lived through that, they're like 4 and 5 grade levels behind over a 2-year period, so that should kind of tell you everything you need to know already. But yeah, I feel like kids are pretty susceptible to like larger than life energy. Especially if they are not in a 2-parent household, which most of them are. So many people get divorced for like completely arbitrary reasons. Because they think like, oh, that hot bitch I saw on Instagram gets to live like that. And I'm like, I'm sure it didn't take her years to build up that following and also that ego. And I'm sure that the ego is for the sake of the entertainment more than it is the real version of her that you're getting. So, might want to be careful with that. I mean, I think it should be completely fucking illegal for kids to be on social media, but they should certainly not have smartphones either. Like, you're not a fucking businessman. Like, you're not fielding all-day global calls from fucking all over the world. Like, you're a fucking kid. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm old and I grew up, like, reading books and stuff. And kids now grow up with the internet, and they're smarter than their parents technologically by the time they fucking bloop out of the womb, so anything that their parents do to try to, like, protect them from the grandiosity of the internet is basically abated by the kid being smarter than you. Because they have more downtime than you. They don't have a full-time job. You think they're at school, they're doing that 2 hours a day. They're on the internet with their phone. And these teachers will try to call parents and tell them to get their kids under control, and the teachers are like, fuck you, my child can do whatever they want. And it's like, if you treat your kid like that, what kind of person do you think they're gonna grow up to be, other than a sociopath? Hope you have $1 billion saved up, because unless you know a bunch of judges and have a bunch of money, that attitude is gonna land that kid in some fucking hot water eventually. It's just bizarro world. I think it's just become too cool to be like, to have this ridiculous ego. And like, people are like, oh, it's like big dick energy, or it's like, I don't know, like, You go, girl. Like, good for you for having clear boundaries. I'm like, those aren't realistic boundaries. Realistic boundaries are like, I would like several hours a day for you to watch the kid outside of the 12 hours that I normally watch them so I can decompress. Like, that's what a boundary is. Ugh. These bitches all be crazy. Unrealistic expectations every single time are gonna ruin the fantasy for you the minute the shit gets real and the honeymoon phase is over. But man, if you pay any attention to the internet today, it's just like, oh, fuck that, just ghost them. I'm like, what if that was like your last friend or the only person you've dated? Like, people are just cutting each other out of each other's lives for like the most minute of reasons. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, that's totally bogus. Like, sorry. But it's kind of become like this established power structure. Like, if I can get dudes to buy me dinner every time I go on a first date, then I'm gonna make them do that every time. And if they don't, then I'm just not gonna go on the date. It's not that hard to figure out. And since 70% of the men, the people on Tinder, are dudes, they're gonna get a lot of offers. So, you know. If they have their pick of whatever they want, they're not gonna treat people like human beings. Which is kinda sad. Like, goddamn. I used to go pretty much on any date that anyone would ask me on when I was younger. And a lot of it was just like, I wanted the social practice. And not only that, but like, I'm just not a vain egomaniac, so like, you know, if I thought like anything could potentially come of that, or they had like an interesting personality, or they had hobbies that I thought would like open up my worldview, like those are things that would get me to go on the date outside of just what they look like. I'll just be like, ah, whatever. What's the worst that could happen? It's like an hour or two. But it's two dudes, and I guess guys aren't raping each other out there like they are with women. I don't even know. A lot of it, I think, has to do with like party culture, though. Like, don't go into party culture if you don't understand what's happening there. Like, if you go to a fucking party and somebody's doing cocaine and you've never done it before, you don't know your tolerance, you don't know if you're gonna black out, you don't know what's gonna happen to you when you black out. Like, a lot of people just jump into party culture because it's cool or whatever, and they don't know what's gonna happen to them. It's not very wise. And it's kind of weird too, because I feel like party culture was mostly shut down due to the pandemic for such a long time that like you'd think people would have found other fucking hobbies. But like the second it went live again, like everybody that was into it just went straight back to it. That's why there was all those pandemic marriages and divorces. You know, like, people are gonna act probably a little bit differently than when they're a captive audience trapped in a house than they are when they have absolute or a lot more freedom. It's just kind of intriguing. But man, people be treating each other like shit out there, and I want nothing to do with it. I am perfectly content having my online relationships, playing video games, going to Costco every 2 weeks, and staying the fuck away from people and their toxic bullshit. Because boy, do they ever have a lot of it. But yeah, then there's this, like, big movement that's like, oh, if anything that ever happened to you that you didn't want to have happen to you, it's rape, just ruin somebody's life over it. And there's, like, a really long, what's the word, period in which you can still fuck someone's life over. It could have been like 15 years ago in college, your first time ever drinking. You ended up having sex, and it was probably outside of your character to do that, but it was also outside of your character to be drinking that night, so I couldn't tell ya. Oh shoot, I should have warped up there. I mean, if you're drunk too, which one is less drunk? And I mean, that's kind of what the party culture is there for. Like, if you didn't know that people were going to bars to get drunk and hook up, you shouldn't be going. It's not hard to figure out why people are going there. Like, people are dressing up in sexy outfits and trying to bang each other. Like, if you don't have the common sense to stay away from that when you want to remain a virgin forever, then don't go. But things like peer pressure exist, and oh, you have to come, you have to. I don't have to do shit, motherfucker. Good luck forcing me. But people haven't built up good boundaries or social skills, because now everybody's raised by the internet, and they can be one way online and a different way in real life, and kind of have it both ways. It's intriguing, but also not healthy in any way, shape, or form. Don't be banging dudes from bars. Like, they're going there to get laid. This is not rocket science. Like, yeah, maybe one or two people, like, met each other there and started dating, but for the most part, this is an activity that involves drugs, booze, and sex. If you're not in the market for any of those things, don't show up. It's not that fucking hard to figure out. I hate it when people abdicate their responsibilities. Like, oh, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know. You've never fucking seen a movie? I don't know. You were raised Mormon? You've never been out of the house once? Like, I don't fucking believe you. Like, goddamn, it's not that hard to have a friend check in on you. Like, some part of you wanted to do some dumb shit, and it ended up happening, and you don't feel right about it afterwards. That's your fault. That's not their fault. Don't bring them into that. But at this point, it's just like everything a woman says is 100% truth. It is never guided by things like, I don't know, revenge or money. So if you don't believe everything she says, then you're a toxic something something. Insert whatever you want to say about that person here. Don't go dressing up like a slut, getting wasted, if you don't want to have sex. 'Cause, yeah, it will happen eventually. I feel like it's the same mentality with people that, like, carry guns in public. Like, let's be real, eventually you're probably gonna want to shoot somebody. And maybe not for any good reason. But you have the gun. It's tempting. You've always thought of yourself as a hero. Like, people do dumb shit when they start feeling like they're in a position of power over someone else. So don't let other people do that to you, maybe, by not dressing up like you're there to try to bang someone. But yeah, if you're a dude and you want to have any part of the discourse of a conversation like that, you're just automatically wrong anyway. So, it's like... And that's what's wrong with that situation in the first place. If my opinion doesn't matter, and you're beyond being responsible for your actions, like, what am I supposed to do about that? Like... Because there's a lot of societal pressures that tell you to meet other people and have sex with them and blah blah blah. Like, oh, why don't you have a girlfriend? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Like, motherfucker, worry about your own life. Yeah, like, if you feel uncomfortable, there's probably a good reason for it. Just don't do it. Like, why is it incorrect to teach somebody, like, information like that? Like, nobody... I think we just live in the age of nobody is accountable for anything. Like, for 4 years, we saw our president breaking the law in front of cameras, and... I think people were like, well, if he can do it, I can. I have billion-dollar energy. No, you don't. Good luck getting out of jail with that bullshit. Sometimes I watch court cases just for fun, and they do not like people that talk to them that way. They will make it worse for you if you think you're so high and mighty. Good luck with that shit. Do not piss off a judge. Like, if you don't have the common sense to, like, realize that this person is partially responsible for your punishment, then don't start committing crimes yet. Oh my god. But, I mean, if you raise your kid to throw shade at teachers, and you don't punish them when the teacher calls letting you know that your child's an asshole, then your kid knows, without you saying anything at all, that they can get away with being an asshole, and will continue to be an asshole. Yeah, unless you have consent, that's illegal. But there's a lot of practical reasons people take those off. And sometimes there is consent involved. But I couldn't really say. But yeah, for a while there was like this thing in the news that kept happening. It was like stealthing, people just removing it at the last second because they just basically didn't give a shit. That is some interesting sociopathic behavior. But yeah, I don't know any single person on Earth that enjoys having sex with a condom more than they prefer it not be there in the first place. Yeah, a lot of people do stuff like that too. So amidst all this fantasy, like, when is it I got the message wrong, and when is it just we're throwing you in prison for 10 years for rape? So I feel like there's a lot of victim blaming that happens, which is unfortunate as well. But it would probably happen less if people in general took responsibility for themselves. But they don't really. It's always, someone did this to me and I want revenge. I love that that enemy just backstepped twice so that I couldn't hit them. Which made that fight last longer than it should have. Which caused Celine to get a magic spell off. Which wasted even more time. Lame. Yeah, but what if that same couple is in their 30s and the person they're hanging out with is in their 20s? Now it becomes all this red tape, and because we can't really call people adults if they're not as much of an adult as the other adults, so there's a lot of people that will twist that into some other bullshit too. I think if we just all took a second to realize that human beings can be petty, and that generally you don't want to piss people off, because if you fuck with them, chances are high that they will probably fuck with you back, and it probably won't be fun. Like, so just don't be a piece of shit in the first place, and less shitty things will happen to you in general. If we could all agree on that, things would probably be better. Oh shoot, where did I put my map? There you are, map. Should have looked at that before I went in here. It's all relative to the circumstances. But the laws are the laws, so I feel like a lot of people operate based on, like, if I'm not doing illegal shit, I don't want to be punished for potentially that having ethical ramifications with it as well, or societal implications. They just want to be able to do the activity that is protected by the law as not illegal. And that kind of makes sense. But, I mean, at that point it should probably be your responsibility, if you don't want to end up in bad situations, to know some of what the law is. But a lot of people don't want to interpret that stuff. I forget if I can just... yeah, I don't think it'll let me go down there like that. It makes you kind of run around in a gigantic loop. And for some reason, Bodyguard isn't working at all this fucking run. So, that's not ideal. Yeah, and that's true as well. That's why the law is interpreted the way it's interpreted. That's why it's an art and not a science. It's not purely hard and fast when exigent circumstances exist for pretty much anything in the law. I think I need to do that. Well, life experience has been stolen from a lot of people that are in their youth at this particular day and age in our society and in time itself. There's been a lot of disruptive events that have happened that would impede somebody's normal growing up situation from happening. So it's all a little bit complicated. And I don't see that part slowing down anytime soon. It will continue to get more and more complicated as things move forward. Oh shoot, that was my fault. Darn it. I have the map blocking part of my screen, so it's hard to see. Dang it. Well, yeah, like, I mean, everybody that's, like, under the age of 30, I mean, even people my age, it's been nothing but a shit show circus since we were born, for the most part. Multiple economic blow-ups, causing financial instability in middle-class homes that was normally thought to be, like, a difficult thing to impeach upon. Companies realizing that they can just charge clients whatever they want if it's like a good or a service that people basically need to have to survive. And in an ever increasingly complicated world, that's going to start to include more things. And then you're going to see older people be like, oh, well, we didn't need any of that shit when we were younger, so that makes you a pussy. And it just becomes this whole unproductive bullshit that we kind of are like, it's just a constant game of everyone else is at fault and I'm better than you. I just feel like that's the way society be playing right now. That's just the general overtone of all this bullshit. And it will get worse. Guaranteed. We're in a situation where I think, like, post-World War II, people in the US, and these are going to be the boomers, truly thought that they earned all the shit that they got. They didn't, I think, pay a lot of attention to global events, and didn't realize that turning China into a 1 billion population slavery operation so that they could have their cheap 3-cent bullshit that they don't need anyway, constantly being affordable for them their entire lives. Like, that's gonna be somebody who has different outlooks on life, obviously. And those are not necessarily good outlooks. But it's easier to blame everyone else than it is to take accountability, so it always comes back to that. Like, I feel like most people used to be like, you said something that's a red flag for me, but I'm willing to listen to how you got through that as a person, sort of a thing, you know? But I feel like people are not doing that as much anymore. They're taking note of it. They're instantly going to be afraid of you, and then they're going to figure out when the best place or time is to pull the escape hatch button or lever or whatever to get out of that in a way where they don't have to communicate with you again. Like, your character really does make or break you. Probably. I feel like anybody who wanders into this, any of my streams randomly might, like, because I get, like, passionate about shit that I talk about, and if they enter in the middle of a sentence and don't hear, like, what was said before, it's, like, really easy to take me out of context. So, That's probably why I don't do so good on Twitch, but it's okay. I'll be fine. Oof. Kill me. I want death. Murder me. Alright, I don't need her healing anybody. I forgot to take their armor off, so... There we go. This is not a good speedrun. I've made so many mistakes. I was like on fire earlier, and right now I'm just like, oh my god, what am I doing? This is awful. Oh well, shit happens. But, I don't know, when you teach people to treat everyone else like they're disposable, people will become disposable. It's what's happening. It's, I think, why the vast majority of everyone is dissatisfied with their lives. That and the egregious fucking... what's the word? Greed, basically. Avarice. We're at the point in this world where if somebody has something on offer that somebody else wants, they're trying to manipulate like every penny out of the other person. And that's not a good way to have a society. Ideally, everybody has a little bit of extra money left over to do their hobbies or whatever, so they can decompress from whatever their chosen profession is. A fight to the death. You'll have to find me first. I'm very good at staying away from bullshit. I don't know, I was raised by scumbags. Well, at least one scumbag and somebody who was a part-time scumbag. So yeah. I just have a pretty good built-in scumbag detector. And it's really not hard to figure out who's a scumbag. They're just entitled in public. Like, I feel like I might have been a couple times where I shouldn't have been, like had a bad day and went out anyway and said some dumb shit to somebody that annoyed them. But for the most part, I try to stay the fuck out of public when I'm not, you know, in a good mood, because I have bipolar. So, yeah. But yeah, when you're just out there being a scumbag and, like, you don't get why everyone is looking at you, like, and pulling out their cameras, yeah. Yikes. But it's weird, because, like, how I grew up was not the same way that my other two brothers or my sister grew up. I think my parents were at different stages in their hatred of one another at different points in their marriage, and I think by the time they got to their third kid, they were exhausted, and by the time they got to their fourth kid, they were about to divorce, and then my dad passed away kind of out of nowhere, and shit happens. It's difficult to provide a consistent experience for another person when you're inviting other people into your life. Like extra kids and things like that. You're not always gonna be young and pretty and skinny and have a lot of energy. You will lose all of those things, whether it happens slowly or quickly. Depends on how responsible you are for the most part, or how unlucky you are. they had it coming. That's just so bizarre a world. Like, those words are not gonna elicit empathy from literally anybody on this planet. Other than people that have gotten away with stuff like that. Like our former president. But you let scumbags like that into public, and everybody thinks it's okay to be a scumbag. So, all the people you thought were maybe decent people, you get the hard truth of learning they were just a scumbag in sheep's clothing all along. There are quite a few people that, if somebody's not guarding the register, will slip a couple hundos into their pocket. At least we probably saved time here by not getting in any fights, so that's good. And that's how she will continue to fuck you over every single time. Like, there's forgivable shit, for sure, but when people do things that are, like, egregious to somebody else's mental health over and over again, that's just part of the gaslighting at that point. That's not good. There's nothing they're ever gonna do that's gonna be a good thing for you in your life. Like, it's just gonna continue to go out of control. And I don't know how to draw the line with it, honestly, myself. I grew up with some wacky shit, and I learned how to avoid even more wacky shit because of it. But whether or not that made my boundaries change to a degree that has kept people out of my life that could have been a good influence, there's no way for me to know that. I just try to take each circumstance, you know, on a circumstance by circumstance basis. But I don't let my gut feelings or my brain lead me away when I feel like people are not good to be around. Like, if somebody seems like a scumbag, I'm probably fine not knowing them. But it's harder to tell these days, because everybody wants to have that big ego and seem like they're a big-time Instagrammer when they can't barely afford groceries, and it's like, eventually the spending habits of the lie that you're trying to maintain for the purposes of keeping other people in awe of you, it's gonna blow up and destroy you, at least in some way. Whether that's you realizing you'll never be able to buy a house because you kept buying fucking Louis Vuitton shit you couldn't afford, yada yada. I mean, it was a sport for her. Like, that's how it was with my dad too. Like, I think he just genuinely, like, wanted to see how many times he could fuck up and see, like, what he could get away with over and over again. And I think by the time I was probably, like, 11, I fucking hated him. And I didn't give him any trust. I almost never talked to him. I slept around his sleep schedule to avoid him. Like, I hung out at other friends' houses so that I was basically never home. And had jobs, so he ran me right out of his life. And he tried to, like, make efforts to get me back in it, and I was like, I just told him, like, I'm never gonna trust you ever again. It's just that simple. Like, there's nothing you can do. I don't care if you track me down and figure out where I live or who my spouse is. I don't give a shit. Like, what happens? There's no way in fuck I'm letting you back in my life. And then he died, like, a couple months later. But all these people, like, when I went to his funeral, were like, oh, he was such a good guy, and he was trying so hard to make things right with you. I was like, no, he wasn't. Told him to stay the fuck out of my life. I didn't let him know where I lived. He didn't know what state I lived in. And he wasn't going to find out through anybody I know unless they wanted to get cut off too, and I made that goddamn well known. So... But yeah, that piece of shit liked to beat up children for some reason, so... It's not like I didn't have good reason. Oof. And then, like, even today, like, he's dead. Like, people give the dead, like, a lot of fucking leeway with, like, how they actually were in real life. And it really pisses me off. I'm like, just because somebody's dead doesn't mean that everything that happened in their life was some fucking perfect painted picture. Like, if you're a scumbag, you're a scumbag. Sorry. I'm gonna call it like I see it. But yeah, like, there was nothing he could do that would ever put me in his life again, or anywhere on the trajectory of his life. I don't care if he, like, went to jail and supposedly got rehabilitated and stopped drinking and stopped smoking pot and stopped being a petty criminal, among various other things. Like, there was literally nothing he could do. Like, he was just a scumbag. Like, I watched many of his friends disavow him in real time. Because he'd, like, hit my mother or us in front of them so that he could seem like some big guy or something. I don't know. But total, complete scumbag. Like, oh my god, I had nightmares about him being alive for years after he was dead. What a piece of shit. And my mom will get, like, mad, because she'll, like, be saying something nice about him in front of me, and I immediately shut down that fucking bullshit, and she gets pissed. She's like, well, I loved him, you know, like, I'm like, well, then you're part scumbag too. Sorry. Like, obviously you make bad decisions, and I'm not interested in having the byproduct of your shitty decisions fuck up my life. So, take care of yourself. 'Cause... oof. But I think a lot of people are estranged from their family for petty reasons too, which is unfortunate, but I don't know. When somebody chooses a violent alcoholic over their own child multiple times, it eventually kind of, like, I don't know. It just became survival for me, honestly. I was like, how do I get out of this alive? And yeah, thankfully I did, I guess. I don't know how. It's not like I had a roadmap. I was a child. But I just started staying the fuck away from these people. And it worked like a charm. Like, when you don't hang out with losers, stupid shit doesn't happen to you. It's fucking amazing. Like, if you have an inkling that somebody's a piece of shit because they said something or whatever, like, I mean, it's okay to give people a little bit of a chance and, like, interrogate them and learn further about why they think that way. But getting fully involved with people that you barely know, especially when the red flag factory's having babies, like, might want to pay attention to some of that shit. Instead now I feel like we have the opposite problem in society. Everybody's disavowing each other for petty reasons because they just want to live their best life. A life with zero fucking stress or accountability is not living your best life. Like, that's you abdicating your role as a person from life and deciding to do nothing with it, basically. If you want to have a job, there's gonna be pressure. If you want to have a family, there's gonna be pressure. If you don't understand that pressure happens, you need to start involving yourself in some so that you can learn about it. But yeah, I don't like toxic positivity. That's basically what I would call LinkedIn. Everybody's like, oh yeah, my company just fired me and, like, it felt so yummy and, like, I want some more daddy. Fire me again. I'm out here looking for jobs. I'm totally willing to get trampled. and I need another job. Like, some of the shit I see people say on LinkedIn is just fucking flooring. I'm like, if your ex-boyfriend did that to you, you'd never talk to them again. But your ex-boyfriend isn't the source of all your income, so with regard to your professional career, unfortunately, you might have to gaslight yourself to get yourself to go every morning so that you don't starve to death. Unless you want to buy some cheap land in the middle of nowhere and start growing your own vegetables and peace the fuck out from this horrible society, then unfortunately you're gonna run into a bunch of stupid shit. Yeah. Everything's out there if you look hard enough, pretty much. But if you're not trying, you will stay precisely where you are. You will continue not to grow, and you will prolong any bad situations that you're currently in because you're not developing skills to get out of those situations. So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work that most people don't want to do unless they have to. And unless you're just in an outright bad situation like I was, sometimes it's not easy to understand, like, what it has gone wrong with that. Because if it's not that bad, like, it's a lot easier to put up with shit for a really long period of time if it's just not that bad. Shit, that should have been blue. Yoink. So everything's kind of a delicate balance. You can't just disavow people instantly and expect to ever have a meaningful relationship. And this is supposed to be blue too, I think. You also can't, I mean, some people get lucky, but most people are not getting lucky on their first merry-go-round ride. So you have to kind of be willing to put up with a little bit of bullshit, while at the same time making clear boundaries for yourself of what is unacceptable in your life and making sure not to let it in. Because it's tempting, like when somebody's standing in front of you telling you how much they care about you, to let them back into your life. Like, because I mean, it's like, why am I such a powerful figure that this person, like, needs me back in their life? Like, what is the deal with that? Like, it feels nice to be needed, so it's really easy to misinterpret that person's missing your power dynamic of them treating you like shit as genuine care. It's not that hard to figure out either. Like, you shouldn't use this manipulatively, but if people are willing to help you without you asking for it, they're probably people you should hang on to. Everybody else is just everybody else. But yeah, I mean, we live in a day and age of technology that is unparalleled. If you don't want to deal with a certain person, you can make it extremely hard, if not impossible, for them to get back into contact with you. It's pretty simple. Just don't have social media and only give certain people your cell phone number. Like, when my phone rings, I'm, like, genuinely confused most of the time. Because usually the only time it does is I am looking for a job, or I have agreed to do something that's not quite routine, such as pick someone up from an airport. Like, my phone is an emergency device. I've considered downgrading it to a flip phone because I basically don't use it anymore. But that's a sign of a good life to me, is people aren't asking me for a bunch of favors. Sounds kind of shitty, but I don't need to be everything to somebody. It's just not my thing. Oh my god, this is gonna be like... Nah, it's gonna go over 35. Oh well. It has the potential to go sub 135, but not on this run. Because he has like this stupid little cutscene that takes like 40 seconds or something. Time wasting fucking Jezebel. Anyways, I gotta get ready to pause out this situation. Okay, is that done yet? For some reason, anime titty lady appeared. This so could have been like 134 if I was less engaged in the conversation, but it was a good conversation, so why ruin it? Anyways, 135 and some change. But yeah, this should be my lowest timed run because it is the easiest one that I've done of this game. It's all just a big balancing act. But one thing I've found to be true almost all the time is if another person is interfering in any of your relationships, there's almost never a good reason why, and they're the person you should put out. Oof. Someone's trying to get you to break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and your boyfriend or girlfriend is somebody you like, and they're trying to, you know, trick you into thinking that you shouldn't like them because they're sad that they don't get to hang out with you as much, or whatever dumb underlying reason there is. Those are people to stay away from. Seriously. Alrighty, well, this stream is over, kids, so have a good night.